Hello everyone, welcome to session 6 and this class is called Strings of Sparkle. We are using the Simple Stories Let's Celebrate, so it's called Celebrate collection. I've got Let's Party as my title. I was looking at that as I was speaking. So we're using the Simple Stories Celebrate collection and I've got two photos about a party, and that's why I've used the Let's Party title. This is session 6, so we're right at the very end of the weekend, so I don't really expect anyone to have actually completed this layout by the time we go home, but hopefully you've had a wonderful time so far and that you'll be able to finish this at a later date if you haven't quite finished, but hopefully you'll get started. So okay, I started off with this piece of salt paper or cardstock by Basil, which has the lovely dotty texture all over it. I have worked out the very middle of the layout and pierced a hole. I do actually trim this layout down to 11.5 inches square, so it might be easier to find the middle of the cardstock while it's 12 by 12. It's obviously much easier than finding then whatever the measurement would be for half of 11.5. Anyway, maybe not too hard, but anyway. So I've started off in the middle, and then what I did was I pierced holes in the top right and the bottom left corner. Now, the plan is to make strings from the corners all going into the middle. Now, I was supposed to have 7 on either side, but I actually accidentally added 8 on one. I think it's the top one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I've done 8 at the top instead of 7. So I was supposed to have 7 because an odd number of things always has a central point and therefore is more aesthetically pleasing. Whereas when you have 4 and 4, like 8, even number on each side, you don't have a middle point. So therefore, that's why I would always stick to odd numbers. However, if I had not pointed it out, I reckon that nobody would have noticed. So do what you like, but I just poked the holes completely freehand, and that's probably why I got into a muddle. But what you could do if you weren't happy with doing that was you could actually draw the lines with a ruler and a pencil, and that might actually be a better way of doing it, because you can't see your pencil lines anyway once you've done your big long stitch because it's under the long stitch, but you can always rub it out too. So do it however it works for you. Yeah, for each one I've come up through the middle of the cardstock, I've come up from the back of the cardstock, and then I have secured it on the back, threaded on some sequins, and then gone back through the other hole. So these long, they're very, very long stitches. Obviously, they do not take a long time to do. This is sewing, but it's only like 15 stitches, so it's not like it's a huge amount of stitching. So don't worry at all about that. It is very quick. Come up through the layout, add your sequins, go back through the bottom part of the layout, and then you will have your long string and you'll have your sequins sitting on the strings. And then of course they're all bunched together when you first add them, but then you can move them around and spread them out along the strings. Now I have cut every I started off by cutting every string when I went in and out. I cut them to length, but then I got bored and then I started being lazy and not breaking off. But what that does is it wastes thread. Now, you will need your thread for other classes, so I would highly suggest that you persevere and that you cut each thread on the back so that you have only use the smallest amount of thread that you can use. Okay, so I've done 3 colours of thread. So I've done yellow, pink. I started off with pinks, and then I went on to the yellows, and then I went on to the orange. The sequins are a total mixture on each one, so I wasn't worried about putting certain colours on certain coloured strings. I just went for a mixture, and I aimed for one of every sequin on each one, although I ended up with more of the blue ones and more of the pink ones because we have more of those, whereas the lovely little orangey starburst ones, there's not so many of those, so I made sure that I didn't use one of those on every single string. Yeah, and I just had them sprinkled in front of me. in a little tray, and then I could pick up the ones that I wanted. It was really very easy, and I didn't go nuts. There's not loads of them. Don't forget, we're going to cover some of these strings up, so they need to be able to bunch either side of those embellishments, so that they can be seen, and you don't want too many, so just a few on each string is ideal. Plus also you might want to use the sequins for other parts of this retreat too, so although to be honest, this is session 6, so you'll probably be working with what you've got left. Okay, so yellow ones are now done, I think, and then I'm going to move on to the orange ones too. Okay, so all the sequin strings are now stitched. We have this lovely diagonal starburst effect, and I've spread my sequins around. Now you can see that I'm now going to start adding other things. So my photos, and I've got the Let's Party title now. They are the biggest elements on the layout, so I felt that I needed to get those in quick, and then build everything else around them. Whereas I find if I have made a whole layout and then try and put something large on it, doesn't work. Okay, so I've also now just added that wonderful crepe paper. I've just put a line of tape under my bottom string there, and then I've just added a piece of the ruffle, and then folded it, and then, or kind of pleated it and stuck, pleated and stuck, pleated and stuck. It's not done in a really fancy way. It's literally just, you know, gathered together and stuck. And double-sided tape works so perfectly with it. So that's where I've got that. Got this little ruffle under the Let's Party. On the left-hand side, I have my 2 photos. I'm going to mount them, but they're not mounted yet. I've also got the doily. Now, the doily is quite big, so I cut a piece off, and I've just tucked that small amount into or behind my photos. My photos aren't brilliant. They've got a green glow to them because we're at a laser tag party, so therefore it's got like funky lights everywhere. So they've got a green hue to them. Now, I in a way, I wish I'd printed them in black and white. I then would have lost some of the other colours and the fun of the photos, but it probably would have been better if I had done that. So just a little tip there. If your photos don't match the colours on the layout, then print them in black and white, and happy days, they will suddenly go perfectly. So I do wish I had done that. There is green in this layout because of the green sequins, but it's the wrong kind of green. I wish I had printed them in black and white. But there we go. It still looks okay, I think. It's still fine. Okay, so I've now cut my layout down, whereas I told you to do that at the beginning, and that's very sensible advice because because then you could have made your sequin strings then you can make them the right length, whereas I have cut them and I've made them quite close to the edges, so it might have been better if I had cut first and then done my sequin strings to leave myself a decent gap. But anyway, again, it looks fine. Good example of do as I say, don't do as I do. Definitely follow the instructions rather than what I'm doing in the process video. So I cut my layout down and I stuck it onto the yellow edging. I gutted the middle of that paper first and put the middle to one side, save for later, of course. And then I have distressed the edges of my white cardstock too. Just getting the Let's Party in place now. So there's a big sticker from the sticker sheet, and I wanted it to kind of sit above the sequin strings, but of course it's sticky, so I needed to cover the back with foam pads in order to get it sitting correctly, but I have just laid it on there, but it needs foam pads behind it, so I need to add those, but yes, so that's how I've done that. It does stick directly to the ruffle, but the Let's needs some strategically placed foam pads in between the sequin strings to make it a little bit more secure. Okay, so just mounting my 2 photos onto red cardstock paper, from the I think it's the flags paper, and I'm going to distress the edges of those as well. And then I'm going to just get those stuck in place exactly as they were positioned before, but they've just now got a border on them. It just made them stand out better, that's all. I felt that they needed it. And then I can put my little doily piece back in position as well. So I normally just stick the bottom edges of the photos to start with, and then because then it's easier for me to move them around if I'm not happy with how they look. And then I go back and add foam pads under the top sections later, which I've just said that I've done that, but then done something completely different because I've added the foam pads straight away and then forgotten to add my doily. So I had to unstick them and then restick them again. Okay, so doily in place, photos in place, liking how it's looking, and now I just need to add some embellishments. Title is in place. Fussy cut one of the banners from the flags paper, and that is going to go across the bottom there. I love this blue banner from the sticker sheet that says your special day, and I'm just going to add that with foam pads too. And then everything else, pretty much, I think, is from the sticker sheet as well. So we have some little word stickers that's going to go in the middle of the layout. I've gone for "You are super, you're invited, and it's your day." I've been playing around with where this flag's going to go. It did look quite nice under the Let's Party, but it also looked lovely under the photos too. So that's where I decided for it to go. Just, again, paying attention to where my sequins are and making sure I pull them down. So I've not got too many that are hidden. I just have to bunch them either side of the embellishments just to make sure that they do show through all the other things that's in place. A few stars added, of course. Love the stars. I actually go back and raise these up on foam pads later as well. I just really love foam pads. And then I've got those flags from the sticker sheet too on the left of the photo that says "You are the best." So that's gone in there. I've put foam pads behind those two to make them stand up nicely. And then I'm adding the camera sticker to that middle point too. I felt that middle point needed something there. So the camera and the word stickers just do that. And then I've added in a couple of flowers in a few places. That flower on the right there, I move onto the other side of Let's Party and under the sequin strings entirely. And then I've added a birthday cake and a present because, that's perfect for birthday parties. And what else do I do? So I'm now also going to, I'm going back and I'm raising everything on foam pads because I initially stuck everything flat. So the 3 stickers in the middle all raised on foam pads. The birthday cake and the present raised on foam pads on the top section. And then the camera as well. Actually, the camera is stuck flat, so ignore that. And then I went back and did it with all of the stars as well. I raised those on foam pads too. So here I am moving the little sticker because I wanted to put that pink heart in. So the pink heart you'll find in the embellishment bag. It's like a corduroy type material. I've just added that in. I've stuck it with glossy accents to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. It could be sewn in place, of course, or tape. But I think that tape wouldn't hold it for very long, so I've gone for glossy accents. And then I'm just going to finish. I've added my journaling under my camera, and then I'm now just going to finish off with some splatters of paint. I've gone for red and I've gone for gold. So I've got splatters either end of the sequin strings, rather, and not very much in the middle, a very small amount around the middle section, but mostly on the ends. And as I say, yeah, love it. Love how it turned out. It's great fun. It definitely screams party, explosion of fun, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was a good little technique to try. Yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this class. I say the sewing wasn't time consuming, but it was very effective. So yes, thank you very much for joining me for Strings of Sparkle in session 6.